Yet they build anyway. They sculpt towers with careful hands. They dig moats with focused intention. They place shells like precious jewels. And when the water finally rushes in and reclaims everything they've created, they don't scream about injustice. They don't collapse in despair. They laugh. They run through the foam. They start building again. Somewhere between childhood and now, most of us forgot how to do this. We forgot how to build with joy, even when we know the tides will turn. We forgot how to trust the process when we can't control the outcome. We forgot how to act as if everything works out, not because we're naive, but because we understand something deeper than fear. Marcus Aurelius, a man who carried the weight of an empire on his shoulders, wrote words in his private journal that still echo through time. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. He wasn't speaking to crowds. He wasn't performing for history. He was reminding himself in his most difficult moments that obstacles aren't interruptions to the path. They are the path. This is what we've lost. This is what we're reclaiming today. You're about to discover 7 ancient principles that will fundamentally shift how you move through the world. Not by changing your circumstances, but by transforming how you interpret them. Not by controlling what happens, but by mastering how you respond. Not by denying difficulty, but by deciding that even difficulty is working for you, not against you. Imagine living with such deep trust that panic becomes foreign to you. Imagine moving through uncertainty with the calm of someone who knows, really knows, that they're being guided toward something good, even when the path looks dark. Imagine becoming the kind of person who doesn't just survive challenges, but uses them as fuel for becoming who they're meant to be. This isn't fantasy. This is philosophy in action. This is Stoicism lived, not just studied. And it starts with a single decision. The decision to act as if everything always works out for you, even before you have proof. Especially before you have proof. Before we dive deep, I need you to do something. Hit that like button right now. Drop a comment below. Let me know where you're watching from. Share this with someone who's been struggling to trust the process. Subscribe to this channel because what we're building here matters. And please, don't skip any part of this video. Each principle builds on the last, and by the end, you'll have a complete framework for living differently. If you truly believe everything works out for you, declare it boldly. Type, "It works for me" in the comments. Number 1. Trust the timing, not the timeline. We live in a world obsessed with deadlines. Get the degree by 22. Find love by 30. Achieve success before your hair turns grey. We've been handed invisible clocks that tick louder than our own heartbeats, and we measure our worth by how well we keep pace. But here's what the Stoics knew that we've forgotten. Life doesn't operate on your schedule. Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And part of mastering yourself is releasing the illusion that you control time. You don't. You never did. What you control is how you show up in this moment, right now, regardless of where you think you should be. When you act as if everything works out for you, you stop fighting the pace of your journey. You stop comparing your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20. You understand that delays aren't denials. They're often divine orchestrations you can't see yet. That job you didn't get might have saved you from a toxic environment. That relationship that ended might have freed you for a love you couldn't imagine. That business that failed might have taught you the exact lesson you needed for the one that will succeed. Trusting the timing means you plant seeds without obsessing over the harvest. You water them, you tend to them, and you believe that when the season is right, they will bloom. You don't dig them up every week to check if they're growing. You trust the process, because you've decided to act as if the universe has better timing than your anxiety does. This doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. It means you work with intention but without desperation. You take action from a place of trust, not fear. You show up fully, knowing that what's meant for you won't miss you, and what misses you was never meant to stay. Think about the oak tree. It doesn't stress about becoming an oak tree. It doesn't compare itself to the pine. It simply grows at its own pace, trusting that its roots are deepening even when no one can see them. That's the energy you're cultivating here, the quiet confidence that your timing is perfect, even when it feels painfully slow. When you trust the timing, you stop living in the future and start living in the now. You stop postponing your peace until everything aligns. You find peace in the alignment itself, the alignment between your effort and your surrender, your ambition and your acceptance. So today, release the timeline. Stop letting imaginary deadlines steal your joy. Stop thinking you're behind. You're not late. You're not lost. You're exactly where you need to be, learning exactly what you need to learn. And when you act as if everything works out, you'll start to notice how often it does, just not always in the way or the time frame you expected. Reframe every setback as setup. There's a moment that comes for all of us, the moment when everything you built comes crashing down. The promotion goes to someone else. The relationship ends. The dream you nurtured dies before it ever takes its first breath. And in that moment, you have a choice. You can see it as the end, or you can see it as the beginning of something you couldn't have planned. The Stoics called this amor fati, the love of fate. Not just acceptance, but genuine love for everything that happens, including the hard stuff. Nietzsche later echoed this when he said, "My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity." This isn't about being passive. It's about recognizing that resistance to what is only multiplies your suffering. When you act as if everything works out for you, you train yourself to look for the setup in every setback. You become a master at finding the hidden gift, the buried lesson, the unexpected doorway. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this making possible for me?" Consider the caterpillar. If someone rescued it from the struggle of breaking out of the cocoon, it would never develop the strength to fly. The struggle isn't a mistake, it's the entire point. Your setbacks work the same way. They're not interruptions to your journey, they're the journey itself, building muscles you'll need for the flight ahead. Every setback is data, every failure is feedback, every closed door is information about which direction to move next. When you get rejected from a job, you're not being told you're not good enough. You're being told this particular door isn't yours. When a friendship fades, you're not losing connection. You're making space for relationships that match who you're becoming. This reframe requires practice. Your brain is wired for negativity bias. It's a survival mechanism. But when you consistently choose to see setbacks as setups, you rewire that circuitry. You become someone who mines gold from the rubble, who finds treasure in the wreckage, who sees possibility where others see only pain. The key is to feel your feelings fully without letting them dictate your interpretation. You can be disappointed and still believe it's working out. You can grieve and still trust the process. You can hurt and still have hope. These aren't contradictions. They're the full human experience. Think about the farmer whose horse runs away. The neighbors say, "Such bad luck." The farmer says, "Maybe." The horse returns with wild horses. The neighbors say, "Such good luck." The farmer says, "Maybe." His son breaks his leg taming one of the wild horses. "Bad luck," they say. "Maybe," he replies. Then war comes, and his son is spared because of his injury. "Good luck," they exclaim. And the farmer, wise as ever, simply says, maybe. This parable teaches you that you rarely know in the moment whether something is truly a setback or a setup. What looks like disaster today might be your greatest blessing tomorrow. So why not act as if it's already working out? Why not give yourself the gift of that belief right now instead of waiting for proof? When you reframe setbacks as setups, you stop being a victim of circumstance and become a student of life. You approach challenges with curiosity instead of dread. You ask better questions, you find better answers, and most importantly, you keep moving forward, even when the path looks nothing like you planned. If you're ready to see obstacles as opportunities, comment "Setback is set up" below. Number 3. Surrender control, strengthen trust. Control is the most seductive illusion we cling to. We believe if we just plan enough, worry enough, prepare enough, we can force life to bend to our will. We grip tightly to outcomes, to people, to timelines, and we call it being responsible. But the Stoics understood something we've forgotten. The tighter you grip, the more you suffer. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Most of your anxiety isn't about what's happening, it's about what you think should happen and your desperate attempts to make it so. You exhaust yourself trying to control variables that were never yours to control in the first place. When you act as if everything works out for you, you practice radical surrender. Not the kind where you give up, but the kind where you give over. You distinguish between what's yours to control and what isn't. And here's the truth. There's very little you actually control. You don't control other people's choices. You don't control outcomes. You don't control timing. You don't even control tomorrow. What you do control is your effort, your attitude, your integrity, and your response. That's it. That's the entire list. And when you pour your energy into those things instead of everything else, life becomes remarkably lighter. Surrendering control doesn't mean you stop taking action. It means you take action without attachment to specific results. You do your best, then you release. You plant the garden, but you don't demand that it grow. You have the conversation, but you don't manipulate the response. You apply for the opportunity, but you don't collapse if it doesn't work out. This is the dance between doing and allowing, between effort and ease. You work hard, but you hold your plans loosely. You commit fully, but you stay flexible. You care deeply, but you don't suffocate what you love with your need for certainty. Think about trying to hold water in your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the more it escapes. But when you cup your hands gently, the water stays. That's how you need to hold your life, with open hands, with trust, with the belief that what's meant for you will stay, and what leaves was meant to teach you to let go. Strengthening trust means you stop needing guarantees before you move. You understand that faith isn't about knowing how it will work out. It's about knowing it will work out somehow, in some way, for your highest good. Even when you can't see it, even when it hurts, even when everyone else thinks you're crazy for believing. The practice is simple but not easy. Every time you feel yourself trying to control something outside your sphere of influence, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what's mine to do here? Do that thing fully. Then release everything else. Hand it over to life, to time, to the universe, to whatever greater intelligence you believe orchestrates this existence. You'll be amazed at how much energy you reclaim when you stop trying to micromanage reality. You'll be shocked at how often things work out better than you planned when you give them space to unfold naturally. And you'll discover a peace that doesn't depend on everything going your way, a peace that exists because you trust the way everything is going. Number 4, act with certainty, even in uncertainty. There's a particular kind of paralysis that grips people when they can't see the full path ahead. They stand at the edge of decision, waiting for clarity, waiting for guarantees, waiting for some cosmic sign that lights up the entire road before they take a single step. But here's what they miss. Certainty isn't found, it's created. It's built with each step you take, not before you take them. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus understood this deeply when he said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Notice he didn't say, "First know exactly how everything will turn out, then maybe consider doing something." He said, "Decide who you are, then act accordingly." That's the secret. When you act as if everything works out for you, you don't wait for confidence. You act with confidence and let the feeling catch up later. You move forward even when your hands are shaking. You make the call even when your voice might crack. You start the project even when you don't have all the answers. Because you've made a fundamental decision that your uncertainty won't be your prison. Think about learning to walk as a child. You didn't wait until you were certain you wouldn't fall. You fell dozens of times. You wobbled, you stumbled, you crashed into furniture. But something in you just knew that walking was possible, so you kept trying. You acted with certainty even though you had no evidence yet that you could do it. And eventually, your actions created the certainty your mind was looking for. This is how you navigate life when you believe things work out for you. You understand that waiting for perfect clarity is just fear wearing a sophisticated mask. You recognize that the bridge appears as you walk, not before. You trust that the next step will reveal itself when you take this step. Acting with certainty doesn't mean being reckless. It means being decisive. It means gathering the information you can, consulting your inner wisdom, and then moving with conviction even if you don't have every answer. It means you stop letting "I don't know" become "I won't try." The neuroscience backs this up. Your brain doesn't distinguish much between real experience and vividly imagined experience. When you act as if you're certain, when you carry yourself with that energy, your brain starts to believe it. Your nervous system calms, your decisions sharpen, your presence strengthens. You literally become more capable because you're acting from a place of possibility instead of fear. Consider the tightrope walker. They don't cross by focusing on how they might fall. They cross by focusing on where they're going, by feeling the rope beneath their feet, by trusting their training and their balance. Their certainty isn't about the absence of risk, it's about the presence of commitment. Once they step onto that rope, doubt becomes dangerous. So they choose certainty. They act as if they've already made it to the other side. You can do the same in your life. When you're facing a difficult conversation, act as if it will go well. When you're pursuing a goal, act as if success is inevitable. When you're healing from pain, act as if wholeness is your natural state. This isn't delusion, it's direction. You're pointing yourself toward the outcome you want and letting that orientation guide your energy, your decisions, your presence. The people who change the world, who build remarkable things, who overcome impossible odds, they're not people who had more certainty than you. They're people who acted with certainty despite having the same doubts, the same fears, the same unknown variables. The difference is they didn't let uncertainty stop them. They used it as fuel. So today, tomorrow, this week, practice acting with certainty. Walk into rooms like you belong there. Speak your truth like it matters. Pursue your dreams like they're already real, just waiting in the future for you to arrive. Because when you act as if everything works out, you become the kind of person for whom everything does work out. Not because the universe plays favorites, but because you've stopped playing small.